We have a lot of things happening in March. It is my birthday month, it is Women's History Month, International Women's Day, and it is also National Reading Month. So every day for the month of March, I'm going to be sharing tips on how you can keep kids engaged in reading during this month and beyond. The first tip is to showcase your interest in reading. What are you doing in your spare time? Are you scrolling, watching TV, or are you reading a book, showing your interest in reading? You could also share your favorite book that you used to read as a child. I loved Amazing Grace and the Babysitter's Club books. You can share your favorite childhood books with the little one in your life and even read it to them. Tip number 2 for keeping kids engaged in reading in honor of National Reading Month is to do more read-alouds in the classroom. Reading aloud helps to improve information processing skills, it increases their vocabulary because they're being introduced to more words, and it boosts their comprehension skills. Studies have shown that when teachers read in the classroom, it also motivates kids to want to read. Tip number 3 for National Reading Month is to have the child pick a book with a subject matter that interests them. So if they're interested in a certain sport or the arts, help them find a book with a leading character, preferably one that looks like them, showcasing them in that particular sport or the arts or whatever that child's interest is in. Take them to your local bookstore, to your local library, and find that book. Giving children the agency to choose will help them to become more engaged in reading. Tip number 4 for National Reading Month to help kids stay engaged in reading is to pick a book or pick books that are around a certain theme or awareness month or holiday. So for example, March is Women's History Month, and today, March 8th, is International Women's Day. So pick books that are celebrating women. I have a few examples with me, like Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison. Another book by her is Little Dreamers, Visionary Women Around the World. We also have Bad Girls Throughout History, 100 Remarkable Women Who Changed the World by Anne Shen. And then lastly, In the Company of Women, Inspiration and Advice from Over 100 Makers, Artists, and Entrepreneurs by Grace Bonney. Let's celebrate the amazing women who are making history and even the women in our lives who are inspirational. Tip number 5 for National Reading Month is a shameless plug. Consider reading my work. Today is actually my birthday, and it would mean the world to me if you consider going on our website and looking at our products, shopping my work. For those who don't know, I write about self-love and inspiring kids and adults to overcome their insecurities and share their unique gifts with the world. So if that speaks to you in any way or know someone who it would speak to, consider checking out our website at www.iamuniquebrand.com and walk away with a bit of self-love with you every day. Tip number 6 for National Reading Month is to write your favorite author or illustrator an appreciation letter. Kids will start developing a likeness towards particular authors or illustrators, so why not have them reach out to them and write a letter of appreciation? A lot of these folks have websites, so you can go on their website and find their contact information. They're on social media. You can easily find their email addresses, or if they're with a publisher, you can reach out to that publisher and find out their contact information that way. And have the child reach out, share how much they love their work, what do they love most about it, and what are they looking forward to. I'm sure they will appreciate the gesture. Tip number 7 for National Reading Month is to get kids involved in book series. Book series are great because it helps to build anticipation for the next book. Kids are already familiar with the characters, the storyline, and it also takes the guesswork out of figuring out what book to get next. Tip number 8 for National Reading Month is to create a reading nook in your home. Designate a spot in your home that's exclusively for reading. Throw beanbag chairs, pillows, blankets, you name it, in a designated corner and have the books laid out so that kids and adults know that this is where we go to read. Tip number 9 for National Reading Month is to start a book club. I actually got this tip from Cherie Sims, who is a PBS early learning champion, a fellow children's book author, and mom of 6. So what she does is host a book club with her kids and their friends, and they celebrate the completion of the book by hosting a book-related game night or watching a movie if the book is based on a movie. This helps to build engagement because you're introducing multiple touch points for kids to connect with the story. March is National Reading Month, and every day this month I am sharing tips on how to keep kids engaged in reading this month and beyond. Tip number 10 is to volunteer at organizations that prioritize literacy. If you're in the LA area, I highly recommend you checking out Read-Lead, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on literacy and leadership. During the summer, they have a program where you can go and sign up to read to the scholars, so definitely check that out. If you're not local to the Los Angeles area, I would recommend checking your area for organizations that prioritize literacy, especially during the summer months where learning loss tends to happen. Tip number 11 for National Reading Month is to go to a book festival. Book festivals are great because you get to meet your favorite authors, discover new ones, and celebrate the love of reading and the love of books. Speaking of book festivals, if you're local to Los Angeles, we're heading back to the LA Times Festival of Books for the third year in a row. It's such a great time. It is the largest book festival in the nation. So if you are local to Los Angeles, I'd love to see you there. We're actually going to be near the main stage this year, so it should be fun. So I previously shared the importance of reading aloud to kids. So for tip number 12 in honor of National Reading Month is an extension of that tip, which is while you're reading aloud, make sure you are asking open-ended questions. Kids have a short attention span, so you want to make sure they're engaged by stopping every few pages and ask them what they think about what's happening in the story. Ask them questions like, what do you think is going on? Or what do you think is going to happen next in the plot? Or tell me what you're seeing in these illustrations. That'll help get their juices flowing, that'll keep them engaged. It'll also help to check their understanding of the context. Tip number 13 for National Reading Month is to gift books. That's right, gift books. For every outfit or toy that you get a child for their birthday, throw in a book to help build their library. Tip number 14 for National Reading Month is to host a book exchange. Buying books can get expensive real quick, and this is a great way to share the wealth and have kids discover new stories. So each child can donate a book that they want to have in the pile, and then another child can pick up that book, and then the child who put that book in the pile can share what they loved about it. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Tip number 15 for National Reading Month is to encourage kids to read outside of books. Reading is everywhere, whether it's reading the street signs or the menu at a restaurant or reading the instructions on a fun game. Reading can be found everywhere, and it's a part of our everyday lives. Encouraging kids to practice reading outside of the pages is a great way to help them keep engaged. Tip number 16 for National Reading Month is to have kids write their own stories. Create their own characters, their own storyline, draw their own illustrations. It is such a fun activity. Shout out to my third grade teacher, Miss Gavery, who actually had our class write our own stories. And I actually still have the story that I wrote to this day. It's called Kimberly in First Grade. I was so serious about this project. I had a table of contents. I had lots of illustrations, bunch of words. I was so serious. If they don't want to draw, that's perfectly fine. You can take some pictures of them acting out certain scenes or take photos around the house and compile it in a Word document along with their words, print it out, and you have a book. It'll be such a great activity. Let me know if you try this out. Tip number 17 for National Reading Month is to attend author events. More details in the caption. Tip number 18 for National Reading Month is to get a library card. A lot of communities offer free access to libraries, so you definitely want to take advantage of that. Also check your local library to see what kind of reading programs they have, especially when kids are out of school. Tip number 19 for National Reading Month is to invite authors to your school organization. They can come and talk about their book, the inspiration behind it, and even throw in the importance of reading and writing. Tip number 20 for National Reading Month is to establish a reading routine. Whether it's reading a few pages before they go off to school or reading some pages before they go to bed, creating healthy habits around reading will increase the chances that they'll stay motivated to read on their own and develop that habit. Tip number 21 for National Reading Month is to write short notes for kids to read. Some examples could be putting a note in their lunch pail, putting a sticky note of affirmations on their bathroom mirror so that they can read it while they're getting ready for the day, or have a scavenger hunt where at each stage they have a note to read that includes certain clues for them to get to the prize. Whatever you choose, know that sprinkling notes here and there throughout the day will help stimulate that love for reading. Tip number 22 for National Reading Month is to consider monthly reading subscriptions. Some great platforms are ABC Mouse, Homer, and the OG, Hooked on Phonics. These could help reinforce the learning that's taking place at home and school. Tip number 23 for National Reading Month is to read to your child every day. Study shows that if you read to your child at least 5 times a day, they'll be exposed to 1.5 million words by the time they're 5, and this boosts their language development skills. Don't take my word for it. Let's look at little Caleb.
Thank you for having me. I am here to speak to you about the importance and benefits of reading. I personally read every day and absolutely love the adventure of reading. I will stand before you and speak with confidence and not be afraid. Reading every day has made me smarter. Reading has also strengthened my vocabulary and language skills.
Tip number 24 for National Reading Month is for educators. Consider hosting a read-a-thon at your school. This will encourage love of reading for students while raising money for the school. It's a win-win. Tip number 25 for National Reading Month is to pair stories with experiences. The book that I'm going to use as an example is Little Troublemaker Makes a Mess by Lovey Ajayi Jones. In this story, little Lovey wants to make jollof rice. What you could do is after reading the book with the child, you could take them out to a restaurant and try jollof rice, or you can find a recipe and make it at home. Pairing stories with activities can help drive a deeper connection with young readers. Tip number 26 is to start them young. They are never too young to learn how to read. You could also make it a family affair. Check this video out.
What?
What's this word?
Do.
What's this word?
You.
Good job, baby. Can I have
You're
a high
reading.
five?
You're
reading, Angel, and you're not even 2. How is it possible?
Tip number 27 is to play with books. There's plenty of research out there that talks about the importance of play and how it stimulates our creativity. I remember when I was younger and I used to grab all my books and line them up on the floor and pretend that I had my own bookstore. I would have my sister play with me and she would walk through my bookstore, select a book, and I would ring her up for it. So try that. Try playing with books and having fun with it. Tip number 28 is to keep books everywhere. Aside from the bookshelf, you can keep books in your car, by the nightstand, in the bathroom. The idea is to have consistent reminders to keep reading at the forefront of our mind. Tip number 29 is to read in nature. Study shows that it significantly improves your cognitive health, it improves your mood, and it also reduces stress. So it can't hurt to change your scenery every now and then. Tip number 30 is to consider listening to audiobooks. Some people are auditory learners, so they're more likely to be able to grasp information better through listening to it. We've made it to the 31st tip in this series. So tip number 31 is to remember that reading is a fundamental part of our everyday lives. Think of creative ways that you can incorporate this life skill. Feel free to implement any of the tips that were shared and let me know how it works for you. I'd love to hear from you.